Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us again today. We've heard two amazing carer journey stories. So mine's a bit different in that I've done a presentation for you to give you something visual to look at as apart from my voice droning on in the background. So as someone's already mentioned, every carer is a unique individual and its circumstances differ for each person, but I think there is some common ground. And as the session's gone on, you know, I've found myself really resonating with some of the points that have been made, and there is a lot of common ground that I think healthcare professionals and support organisations can learn from. So, the problem of definition has been mentioned a few times already, hasn't it? I've been living with my husband now for about 40 years, and about 5 years ago he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. My three sons, now all in their 20s, have ASD traits and ADHD, as well as suffer from anxiety and depression, which impacts on our daily lives and theirs. For extended periods, I've helped to care for my friend's son, who also has ADHD and autism. Back in 2011, I nursed my terminally ill mother, who died of cancer in 2012. Would I have defined myself as a carer at any point up until then? Absolutely not. No, I was merely doing what any friend, daughter, wife, and mother does, taking care of friends and family. Like in Mark's case, all the issues with my husband and my children are ongoing. You don't grow out of autism. It's there for life. And in fact, the problems seem to be more pronounced as the children get older. I myself, because of the situation with living with my husband and his difficult behaviours, started to suffer from anxiety and mild depression back in my mid-20s. After I gave birth to each of my sons, I suffered an extensive period of postnatal depression and had multiple episodes of long-term sick leave from my job. At that point, which was back in the 80s, I needed someone to look at my situation holistically and to look at the family situation and to help join up the dots. I received virtually no support from my GP or my workplace. There was no talking therapies on offer at that time. I was never referred to a psychiatrist because of multiple episodes of severe depression. The only intervention I received was antidepressant medication, and at one point a terrible suggestion by a GP down in the Midlands that what I should do is stop working and have a baby, and that would solve my issues. Following further absences due to surgery for cancer and ongoing mental health issues and type 2 diabetes, by January 2013, I lost my job. This massive loss added an additional gaping black hole to the loss of my mother. My professional career as a teacher and caring for my mother had given me a sense of who I was and what I judged myself to be worth. At this point, I completely lost any sense of who the real me was. I suffered a severe breakdown and was able to access a higher level of mental health support at that point. In summer 2015, I was diagnosed for a second time with cancer, and 3 months after surgery, my mental health issues became another crisis. On this slide, I've tried to point out some of the behaviours and attitudes which myself and maybe other carers demonstrate because of their thought processes or the behaviours at a time when they're under stress and caring. And these are some of the things that I've been heard to say, or I've heard other carers talk about. So I'm the best person for this job of looking after my children or my husband, and that I'm indispensable. The world can't do without me. I will go it alone. I don't need any help. And I almost go into some sort of striving survival mode, and I get very blinkered. There's often a feeling that it's my duty to care for these people in my family. I'm very blinkered to there being other solutions. This is the only solution I can see. The title of carer was a barrier. I was definitely not a carer. And I didn't have mental health problems. I'm just stressed or anxious. So for me, 2015 was a turning point in my journey. This really followed on from the crisis after my cancer surgery, which affected my hormones very much, brought on a medical menopause. So on top of all my other issues, I had a huge rush of hormonal issues, which really affected my mental health. I was so much in the soup mentally at that point. I have no idea how this happened, but I'm presuming, looking back at it, that I was referred for a carers assessment by someone within the South West Yorkshire Partnership NHS Foundation Trust. That's what I'm assuming has happened. However, after several months and meeting with people at my home and waiting on what the support was going to be, we were told that although I went to a GP and had mental health service support from Calderdale, because I lived in Kirklees, the whole process was null and void, and the whole process was have to start again. I was pretty incredulous. I couldn't understand why some form just couldn't be sent from one department back to another, but I presume it's all to do with funding. But there was not even any suggestion of any signposting at that point. It was like everything's just got to wait until Kirklees deals with it. So then there was another 6 months of waiting. Finally, I had an assessment and went to Gateway to Care, the social services, in late 2015. And it was then that I received a personalised package of supportive information and ideas, and this assessment formally identified me as being a carer. And so it sort of made that sort of more concrete for me. So from 2016, I was referred on to carers count. Well, I think knowing me, I probably wasn't referred. I probably just turned up and marched in and hoped for the best. The Carers Count coffee group was my starting point, but it wasn't an ideal starting point for me. Having just lost my mum and my job and been through cancer diagnosis and treatments, I knew I needed to improve my social contact and get some peer support and help with the day-to-day problems of caring. But at that point, to be honest, my self-esteem and confidence levels had fallen through the floor. I was really struggling to get to grips with my physical and mental health problems. But I recognised that that initial contact with Carers Count was going to be the blue touch paper moment, even though I was probably unaware of that at the time. For me, at that point, talking to other people was just too demanding. Could manage drinking teas and coffees and maybe eating the odd piece of cake, but talking was a no-no. But at least I felt I was amongst other people and the atmosphere was welcoming and accepting. And for me at that point, that meant an awful lot. Also, interestingly, I was given an opportunity during that session for a complementary therapy. So I had some reflexology. The therapist was gentle and compassionate, and in a short space of time, she made me feel safe, nurtured, and cared for. And as a result of feeling that enormous benefit, which I first did at that Carers Count Coffee and Chat, that first session, I have now realised how important that is. And I now have monthly therapies, holistic therapies, to support my mental health and well-being. In February of 2016, Carers Count started 2 new short courses, an art and craft group and a Tai Chi group. My self-confidence was still pretty low, but was improving. I was signposted around this time to the Looking After Me course at the town hall, which was an excellent course. The Carers Count art and craft group was a real godsend. Still lacking in confidence and not wanting to talk to other people in case I broke down in tears, this was a small, quiet session. I was encouraged to try new techniques and find my own level. I soon began to use these sessions in a mindful way to use creative techniques, which allowed me to express my long suppressed feelings and emotions. I used colour and textures, old photographs, and even recycled clothing of mine to explore the emotions. As my confidence and motivation improved, I started to paint canvases, make greeting cards, and I sold these on at a time when there was a refugee crisis on one of the Greek islands. And friends in the various groups I'm in supported buying these cards and paintings, and we quickly raised over £500 to help in that crisis. So I've gone on from that and to continue to do my art and craft, and I've donated that in support of the homeless charities within Huddersfield and in London, and particularly at the Mission and the Welcome Centre in Huddersfield. Like the art and craft group, Tai Chi or Qigong was initially a short course, which went on to become a weekly group. This, again, was a small and quiet group, which enables the participants to learn the relaxing and a holistic practice. It really helps your physical and mental well-being and helps you to relax and reduce your anxiety. Both of these groups were overseen by a Carers Count worker who, in a gentle and unobtrusive way, would encourage and support our progress, whilst being on hand to deal one-to-one with any situations that might have arisen. By the time I attended my first Carers Count Pamper Day, I was already beginning to feel like a different person. What a fabulous occasion it was, seeing everybody benefiting from the various treatments on offer. Reflexology, back massages, Indian head massage, having your nails done or your makeup done, sample meditation and Tai Chi workshops, all topped off with a lovely buffet lunch with everyone. Emotions ran high as carers were pampered and given time and attention in a warm and caring environment, something which for many carers can feel quite foreign. By the spring of 2016, I was feeling physically and emotionally well enough to take on a different activity, and I signed up for the 8-week Carers Count meditation course. This had long been recommended to me at various points in my recovery, but I needed to be in the right place mentally to take this on. The structured and supportive approach of the group leader and other class participants really helps you embed the various meditation techniques and gives you a firm platform to continue with the skills you develop on a daily basis. Attending this course has not only increased my resilience as a carer, but has had a profound effect on the way I think, feel and behave. Of course, Carers Count and Cloverleaf aren't just about the supportive group sessions, they also do one-to-one support with advocacy and benefits information. And I'd spent many a year trying to obtain PIP for one of my sons, but trying to juggle that along with my own mental health problems was almost an impossible thing to do. And having discussed that at one of the coffee and chat sessions, Heather, one of the managers, encouraged me that actually with the support of Carers Count, it's something that we should go for and try again. And since then, we've now been getting PIP for about 5 or 6 years now for my eldest son, which again, without Carers Count, I wouldn't have been in a position to have got to that point. By 2017, I was really feeling a lot stronger. Well, I was still getting support from the NHS through talking therapies, and was still getting benefit from attending the various Carers Count sessions. I wanted to be able to share some of the things that had supported my journey of recovery, and to pay back to Carers Count the support they've given me by hosting an event called a Sanctuary Day, which was a quiet day of reflection for carers in the local area. And we call this the Sanctuary Day. And here's this photograph is up at Westwood Edge, up above Slowett on the tops. So on a Sanctuary Day, typically carers are given the opportunity to do their own thing some of the time. So there's a guided craft. So this is an example of some felted angels that we made this time last year, I think it would have been, in I think November last year. And there's also a Carers Count art and craft leader there who just brings a load of art and craft materials, so people can just dip in and do their own thing if that's what they want. If the weather's nice, they might just take the paints and just sit outside and paint. I've set up some reflective stations. This is a picture of one of them, which is about letting go. There's usually various visual things and some reading. Gets people, carers, to sit and reflect about a particular theme or idea. And then there's a small activity to help them reflect on that particular task. We do some meditation in the mornings and some reflections. There's a Tai Chi workshop that usually happens outside, weather permitting. And then at lunchtime, we sit down to some beautiful homemade bread, which is usually donated by Slowett Bakery, Artisan Bakery, and beautiful homemade soups and cakes. So the idea is that the carers are just really nurtured and given some breathing space and just place to be. So just bringing you up to date with my particular story. So that all happened sort of 4 or 5 years ago. So my health and well-being have continued to improve due to the support I've received from the mental health services, from Carers Count, and from Cloverleaf Advocacy. So just to share with you, I'm still organising quiet days up at Westwood. This is a picture from last November with the mist in the valley down below. I think we've had 7 events now, and we usually have 20 people attend each of these events. I'm still doing my paintings and my cards, and over the past 5 years I've raised over £4,500 for local and national charities. I volunteer for an charitable organisation called Hand to Mouth, who is a locally based charity that goes into schools to help children explore their own spiritual journeys, and looking at reflective work with primary age children. And I'm now chair of this particular charity. In the last 18 months, I've gone on to train as an Enneagram teacher, facilitator, which Enneagram, if you've not come across it, is it's a bridge between psychology and spirituality. It gives a vocabulary to personal development and personal qualities. And then finally, I volunteered to be involved with supporting carers count groups as they can't meet during COVID. So I've been hosting a fortnightly meditation session online and a fortnightly Tai Chi session online. And starting from next month, it'll be twice weekly, because I think we're going to be locked down for quite a while to come. So that's something, because I can't go into schools and do my normal job at the moment, I'm able to spend that free time supporting carers count and supporting carers well-being. So that's basically me and my journey. Thank you very, very much for listening. Before I go, there's just a couple of sort of summing ups about, I just reflected about during that journey, what would have helped me, what could have been done differently. So I've already mentioned about the term carer. So I think there needs to be real thought and understanding about the terms around the word carer, because it is a real barrier, whether that's from the carer's point of view, but also from the healthcare professional who's dealing with you, or the receptionist, or the person that's putting carers posters up in the GP. If it says, "Are you a carer?" I wouldn't probably look at it. So I think that is a real issue. From my point of view, when I was in a real mental mess and not being able to think clearly, I needed some sort of visual map to assist in the understanding of the different parts of the system that there was. Professionals were turning up at my house to talk to me all the time and would tell me who they were, their name, and maybe even told me the organisation they came from, but I couldn't see any coherence or coordination between it. So for me, when I couldn't see, I needed some sort of visual aid to help me see who the people were and which service they were actually coming from. And also the way that you could actually be referred, because I spent 25, 30 years waiting to be referred. And I don't know, maybe it was something I could have done myself, but again, if that's not signposted to you, you're unaware of it. So knowing the route for a referral, so I could maybe have said to my GP, well, actually, this is the 7th time I've had a depressive episode. Could we not get some sort of, rather than just keep signing me off for more antidepressants, could we maybe get to the bottom of what's actually causing these issues? And again, I needed somebody to look at my bigger picture, rather than just looking at my symptoms, to actually look at the family situation and the relationships and what was going on there, what was going on at work, and the lack of support I was getting from there. So if I can't identify myself as a carer, I would be reliant upon primary care services to make that identification for me. Again, not so much emphasis on medication at the start, but more on talking therapies and support. I think we've come a long way since when I had my issues back in the 80s. We've come a long way. But I think that the emphasis on getting the support in there early to prevent future problems is the big thing. I felt when I finally got my referral for a psychiatric assessment and diagnosis, it came after I'd had another crisis. And things started to, I think someone's already mentioned it, once you actually hit a huge rock bottom of crisis, suddenly things start to kick in. But I remember when I saw the psychiatrist, he was like, I can't believe you've not been referred to me before, and it's taken so many years. So again, knowing how to go about asking your GP for a referral, or the GPs being aware that referrals can be made. And again, referral by GPs, healthcare assistants, whoever, carers, champions, to carer support agencies such as Carers Count, before you get to the crisis points that I've got to. I'm very fortunate, a bit like Angela, I've been through the suicidal part, and it could all have been really, really different. I feel I've lost 15 years worth of my career that I could have, you know, gone on to do and earned money for society. You almost feel like you're of no further use. But I feel now that I am still of use, and that I am able to carry on my role as a carer, provided I have those agencies propping me up and providing my route network.